and welcome to our bonus QPR Preview Show. Not that anyone was asking for a bonus show, but this Stoke match was looming as a big one, so we thought we'd deserve its own preview show. And we were right because the weekend's results mean this match is the latest chance for QPR to try and escape the bottom three for the first time since September. The R's, of course, drew with Norwich, but because Stoke and Huddersfield both lost, we've moved a point closer to both of them. And that means against Stoke, if we can beat them, we move above them. Before we get on to that, let's start with the 2-2 draw against Norwich. We both felt a draw was coming in the preview show last week. Was it a fair result for you, Dave?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a fair result. I thought we played quite well, though. It was another, you know, building on from the recently good performances. I thought we did well, and we were always in the game. It showed really good character to come at 2-1. We looked in a bit of trouble. Norwich were on top, but they fought back, got the equaliser, probably could have won it in the end. It could have gone either way the last 10, 15 minutes. So it was another positive performance. Norwich are a good side, they're there or thereabouts around the playoffs, and so you take a point against them. But for me, the performance was the most encouraging thing, especially seeing a lot of the new players doing well yesterday.
Yeah, the big takeaway for me was what you mentioned there with the character, and it's the fight, isn't it? For a QPR side to let a lead slip and then fall behind, past QPR sides would have imploded even a couple of months ago. If QPR went from 1-0 up to 2-1 down, that match would have ended 4-1 to the opposition, wouldn't it? So I love that this is forming in this team now. It's 4 unbeaten. And in two of them, we could have easily had defeats. We were behind going into the later stages of the games, but we still got something. That bodes well for the battles to come. And I know we keep bigging up the manager probably more and more with each passing show, but it's rightly so. And it does just feel, doesn't it, more with each passing game that if we can just survive this season, there could be a brighter future for QPR with him in charge.
Yeah, I think it'd be exciting if he had the full summer to bring his own players in and embed his ideas. I think he could do really well here. I'm really impressed with him, but it's still not going to be easy to get out of this. We're on a good little run and we still haven't moved. We're still in the same position. And as good as it's been lately, you just kind of want to get over that line as quick as we can and then try and build from there. But he's doing a really good job. His new signings, I thought, were good as well yesterday. They made a real difference coming off the bench in the second half late. So yeah, it's all positive from him.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I just hope we can, like I say, survive. Obviously, everyone wants us to do that, but it feels like next season could actually be quite an exciting one, not just us treading water as we seem to be at the moment. Their equaliser, Norwich, was hugely frustrating at the time it came. Should Begovic have done better for you with that?
Yeah, possibly. It was poor defending all round. You got to stop the cross initially, and then Cannon could have been a bit stronger up against Sargent. And Begovic I think he's quite slow at times with his reactions. Probably could have done better with it. The first goal as well wasn't great defending either, but to be fair, it was coming. Norwich were on top at that point, and you could see them getting ahead. Overall, I thought actually Begovic, I've been quite critical of him, but I thought he was better yesterday with his distribution. He wasn't just trying to play along his own goal line all the time. We were trying to play out properly from the back yesterday. It worked quite well.
Yeah, he still makes me a bit nervous overall. And he did make a good block from Barnes later on, didn't he, to keep it at 2-2. But I did think their first goal, he should have done better. He seemed to go too far across his goal, and the ball went right in the middle of the net, really. I've seen a few people say it was offside, but if you pause it at the point their man strikes the ball, he's got a clear view of it. Not the best for me. Obviously, it's only a shorter show, so let's move on ahead of this 6-pointer. It's worth remembering, though, that against Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday and Huddersfield, we've known a QPR win would guarantee us moving out of the drop zone, and we failed to do it. So it's just the latest opportunity against Stoke. Now, I've spent the last two shows talking about QPR's traditional bogey sides, but against Stoke, we actually have a decent record. We only lost 2 of the last 11 since they were relegated in 2018. And they are really struggling, as these stats are going to illustrate now. They've got a terrible home record. They last won at home in October. They've only won. The only win they had in 2024 came against the whipping boys Rotherham. They've lost 4 in a row coming into this game, conceded 8 in the last 2 games. What's going wrong at Stoke?
It's not a new thing. It's been going on for a few years. They've been struggling. You look at their squad on paper and you think, how are they down the bottom? But they always seem to be. They got a new manager in after we beat them in December, and they haven't really got any better, have they, since then, to be honest? Then you normally get a bit of a boost with a new manager, and I think Schumacher's a good manager, but he hasn't really had the impact there. And they're in a terrible run. I watched the highlights of the Blackburn game, and we saw how poor Blackburn were last week, and Blackburn beat them pretty easily in the end. So this is a massive game for both teams, really. Stoke they've got to see this as a must-win for them to try and pull clear. You know, if they lose this one, they're bang in trouble. But for us, again, like you said, it's an opportunity not just to get out the bottom three, but again pull more teams into it. It's a big game for us. We need to go there and impose ourselves on them.
Yeah, I can't downplay how big the match is. It's just the latest in the massive run of games, isn't it? But I had a look on the Stoke Oatcake forum, and there were reports of a toxic atmosphere in the away end at Blackburn. Stoke fans fighting with each other, berating the players. One fan described their team as a gutless shower of you know what. There's clearly unrest there on and off the pitch. Probably couldn't play them at a better time. Steve Schumacher, you mentioned there, he must be wondering already why he swapped Plymouth for Stoke.
Yeah, he must have. He was in quite a comfortable job there, and Plymouth are doing okay this year. They're not. I don't think they'll go down. You can see why he went, because Stoke are a big club. They're not in the Premier League not that long ago, and you think you could get them going, but they do look a mess, and you do think they've been teetering on the brink the last couple of years. You think eventually they might go, and it's a funny one, and it's a good time to play them. But these sort of games make me nervous because it's like they're due a win, and they don't. We just don't win at home since October. We're normally the ones that allow that to happen, but we've got to go and take advantage of this. The crowd are going to be edgy. Don't concede early. But if we can get the first goal and get the crowd turning on them, it could be a good night for us.
Yeah, I definitely get the vibe that if we can get the first goal, their fans are going to be in uproar straight away. So that could be key. In terms of Steven Schumacher, I just literally have no idea what he was thinking. He seems to have learnt nothing from Alex Neil's own mistake. And they remind me very much of QPR going back maybe 5 or 6 years, where good managers could come in and within a few months they've been QPR'd, hadn't they? And they were just struggling. They feel like that. And I wonder whether if we beat them and they drop into the bottom three, whether they could sack him already. There's probably that vibe. There's definitely something going on off the pitch there. And they probably might be my pick as it stands to go down, because you mentioned it when you first started talking about them. At the end of last season, they were on a miserable run. When we played them in April, we were talking to some of their fans on the way to the game. They were miserable then, and it's not got any better since. They've not fixed the trajectory at all, despite overhauling the squad in the summer. So many signings, the manager changing. If we assume Rotherham have gone down now, it looks like, if you had to stick your neck on the line, would you have Stoke going down?
I think if we beat them, I would. Yeah, definitely. I think they're in massive trouble. And you see the other sides down the bottom. Huddersfield are showing a lot of fight. They were a bit unlucky yesterday. Sheffield Wednesday won again. Swansea, I think, won at the weekend. The teams are fighting down there, but they just seem to be sinking and sinking. I think if they do drop in, they'll be in big trouble. They're going to find it hard to get out of it.
Yeah, I agree. I do. I think could be Rotherham, Stoke, Sheffield Wednesday, but even they're picking up a few results here and there. Let's focus in on QPR. The biggest QPR team question mark for this one has been looming over the last 2 games, because Sam Field is obviously out suspended. What are your immediate thoughts on him coming back in?
I think he'll probably start on the bench. I thought Hayden had a really good game against Norwich. I was really impressed with him. If he's fit, he starts for me. And then I think it'll be a switching between Colback and Field alongside him. You never know with injuries with Colback. If it's a 3-game week, and we've seen before with some of these players, they can't do all 3 games. But I don't think he'll change that much for this game. I think ideally that's probably his strongest team that he started with. I think there'll be a point soon when it's potentially Anderson coming in for Willock, but I'm not sure we're at that point yet. I think Field will probably start on the bench for this one.
Yeah, I actually think Field could come back in, only because Hayden's only just coming back to match fitness, went off with cramp at the end of the game. And I wonder whether that's made Cifuentes' decision a little bit easier maybe in this one, because Sam Field, even just a few months ago, would have walked back into the QPR team. At least it's good that we've now got these options. We mentioned, obviously, in the last show about the signings and all the options we have. We know Cifuentes usually rotates, but that prospect now isn't as scary as it used to be, is it? When we used to talk about a 3-match week, we'd be thinking, jeepers, we've got players coming in here who almost a guaranteed defeat. At least we've now got some decent like-for-like changes, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got options. I mean, you saw coming off the bench yesterday, you had Frey and Dyke coming on, really had an impact in the second half, and Anderson as well. There's options there they've got now. If they do make changes, it shouldn't weaken the team as much as it used to. But that's what I mean. January looks like it's been a good window for us. Really, we have strengthened, and you probably have to make a decision between, do you start Frey after he scored or stick with Armstrong? But probably playing away, you go with Armstrong for his pace on the break, I would have thought.
Yeah, where does Frey fit in, do you think? Because he obviously got his goal. He looked much, much better than he did against Blackburn. He was quite clearly still rusty in that cameo at Blackburn. But where do you see him fitting in? Does he look like he needs a partner with him?
Yeah, I think so. It looks like he'd be better in a two. You know, he was a good target man. You know, he's not the quickest, but he was causing them a lot of problems. And it's the first time, and God knows, and probably since Charlie Austin was at his best, that we had a centre forward get across the centre half and get the ball first. You know, his goal looked easy, but the amount of times over the last few years we've put that ball in the box and there's no one there. You know, he made that goal by being on the end of it, being in the right position, and you know that could make a real difference to us. You know, we've got Armstrong's very quick and very strong and that, but he's not great at getting in the right position when them balls come in.
Yeah, that was a good comparison, actually. It does remind me, when you think of it now, of quite a lot of the Charlie Austin goals when he was at QPR. I feel he needs someone with him, just because he's like making a great nuisance of himself, you could see, and the ball was dropping off behind him, but there was nobody there for the second ball. I guess players will learn to play around him as they get used to him and so on. I'm just glad to see that his mobility looked a bit better against Norwich, because like I say, Blackburn, he looked a bit cumbersome, but it was hopefully just a one-off. You mentioned Anderson there back before. What did you make of him?
Yeah, he looked good. I felt a bit sorry for him. He was moved all over the place. He was like in the middle, then he went on both wings because chair went off. But he did well. I thought it was a lovely cross for the goal. You know, he looked like he's got something about him. He put a couple of nice balls through. Yeah, it was an encouraging debut from him. He looks a decent player.
Yeah, he did. I agree. He was probably in about 3 or 4 different positions, which probably didn't make it easy. But the key thing was that delivery, wasn't it? He's clearly got absolute quality at this level if we can get him in the right positions and get him whipping those balls in. Do you think, I know you've said there, Willock, you made an assist, Anderson, Smith, that's probably the area where we don't know who's going to start doing.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I thought Willock was better yesterday, but he's nowhere near his best still. And I thought we did get better when they did bring Smith and Anderson on, as an attacking point of view. But you know, he did set up the first goal, Willock, so maybe he'll stick with him in there. But you could play any of the three, really, couldn't you? To be honest, and I think you'd be a reasonably good side you'd have out.
Yeah, what an unusual luxury for QPR to have. There's so many decent players. Finally, predictions. We were right about Norwich being a draw. How do you see this one panning out?
Yeah, like I say, I'm nervy about this one because they're on such a bad run. But it's one we've got to take advantage of. We're playing well, and I think we can go there and win. We've got a decent record up there, so I'm going to go for it. It'll be a very narrow one, but I think we'll win.
Yeah, people usually joke about Charity Park Rangers at this point, don't we? If you're on a bad run, we're the team you want to play. I personally just think if a Gareth Ainsworth side could win there back in April 1-0 with 19% possession, and Stoke haven't improved since, then surely this Marty Cifuentes side can get a win there. And I do feel like this is the moment for us. If we want to avoid the drop, we can't keep wasting these opportunities because they're not going to come around forever. We need to get this win, get out of the bottom three, and then not look back. And I hope we can do that. Fingers crossed, we'll see the new QPR turn up for this one. And we'll be back later in the week to preview another away trip as we face Bristol City. Thank you for watching as always and for all the comments recently. Come on, you R's.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.